Hello, welcome back to the last episode anyway, of Learning Lords of Middle-earth. If you've watched all of them and you are slightly more tempted to play Lords of Middle-earth, awesome, thanks. If not, oh well, Hakuna Matata. I had fun making them. So with this last one, there are two things I need to cover. So the first one is the alternate mouth. I realized he had not come up yet. So the OG mouth, as you might remember, he can come into play if either the Fellowship is on the Mordor track or all Free People nations are at war. The alternate mouth, who is different from the... So unlike the Witch King, where if you bring in one Witch King, you can swap to the other one, you cannot swap between these two mouth versions. You get one, you're committed to him for the rest of the game, and if he dies, you cannot bring in the other mouth. So the difference with this mouth, this one is called the Black Numenorian, is that he can be brought in if the Fellowship is on the Mordor track or if the Free Peoples have one or more victory points. So turn two, something crazy happened. This guy walks into Angmar. Guess what? You can get the mouth now. Which I think is a bummer. Like it's fun because they did design the Lords of Middle-earth expansion to encourage Free People military wins a little bit. Just, more dice for the Free Peoples and Elrond's ring ability to help sprint in. But this is just such a huge disincentive. So before, there was, chances of things like, say a fairly common scenario is Gondor's been mustered once. We're saying Sauron's at war too. And the North Ithilien army attacks Osgiliath. They place scouts over here. This army's all excited to go get Minas Tirith, but now Gondor's at war, and then they spend a die to walk into Minas Morgul with these regulars. So the point of a gamble like this is now obviously you're at 2 points, and you're that close to a Free People's military win. Now, Shadow might be able to retake this, but they might also say, it's not worth my time. They carry on, and then later on they have a really bad roll in the game, and you do go and sneak another 2 points somewhere, and that's how you win. So now, if you do that, you're allowing the Shadow player to get that extra die per turn a lot earlier, if it is an early sneak like that, or just walking into Angmar, as also happens sometimes. So I feel like that discouraged something that was already a really outlier of a play. So I don't like that, but that's how the rules works. So the other difference with the mouth, the OG mouth, you could spend a muster die. Let's roll these just for the sake. Yeah. So you could spend this muster die, you flip the mouth, and you can use it as an army die. So 2 armies could walk somewhere, or 1 army could attack. With the alternate mouth, you may spend a muster die result as if this army can use a character die. So not anywhere on the board. I can't use this muster to make this army from Osgiliath attack Minas Tirith. I can only use that muster to move this army, and I can only move it once. So that is a downside for sure. But on the plus side, his other ability is that, say, Woodland Realm is under siege, he can extend an attack for 1 round for free every time you attack. So if I, whether you use an ability or not, if I attack Woodland Realm, we do 1 round of combat, no card. So Shadow gets 1 hit, Free Peoples gets 1 hit. So you both take the 1 hit. And now Shadow can say free press, and they don't have to downgrade an elite, and you get another round of combat. So that can be really strong, especially when it's late game and you have 1 stronghold left. Getting him on that difficult stronghold can be really powerful, and he has 2 leadership that Gandalf cannot cancel, just like the OG mouth. So anyway, that's the alternate mouth. How long has it been? Been 4 minutes. Okay, I'll keep going. Well, it'll just be 1 long video to finish it off. So I also wanted to highlight all the new cards, because Lords of Middle-earth does add a handful of new cards, and I also left in a few where their value I felt like was significantly changed from the first one. So it only adds 2 Free People strategy cards. We have Rangers of the North and Every Little is a Gain. So Rangers of the North, this is a big one. Choose a Shadow Nation inside or in a region bordering the North Nation. Roll 3 dice and score 1 hit against this army for each result of 5 and up. Then recruit 1 North unit, regular or elite, and 1 North leader in any free region of the North Nation adjacent to the attacked region. So where this comes up the most is, say, you finished conquering Woodland Realm, and a Shadow player who's new and doesn't know a lot about this will go off and besiege Erebor, and then you play Rangers of the North, and you can attack Woodland Realm here. And if you get 1 hit, which you're likely to do, now it's free for the taking, and you've mustered up more troops. So that could be a really strong retaking tool for sure. If you are a little more familiar with it and you know how to play it, you can conquer both Dale and Old Forest Road. Then Rangers of the North can still be played against Woodland Realm, but you don't get to recruit any units. So even if it's empty, who cares? You still can't walk into it. So anyway, that could be a powerful card. Then Every Little is a Gain. Recruit one Gondor regular unit each of Pelargir, Laemden, and Lasarnak, and then draw one strategy event card. So that's a pretty good card too. And Shield Wall for the bottom and advantageous position for the combat effect for those cards. I left Wisdom of Elrond here because its value is also significantly increased in the Lords of Middle-earth expansion, because if the Chief of the Ringwraiths comes out, he does not activate all nations the way the Black Captain does. So the fact that it activates a nation of your choice and advances them one step on the political track, you can use to, if you mustered Gondor once, then you can play Wisdom of Elrond, and all of a sudden they're at war, and the Shadow Nation was not expecting them to be able to be at war. So that card can be useful. I'm going to kill it now just so we can see all the character cards here. So the way there. We've already covered Smeagol. Add 2 Smeagol tiles to the hunt pool. So that's, those 2 start in the removed pile, and you can just add them to the hunt pool. So you're more likely to get Smeagol out there, or if Smeagol's guide, you're more likely to draw these pleasant tiles that are a 0 and not revealing. Wizard Staff. So I think the value of this one is also significantly increased, because with the Gandalf Narya die, you're in much less of a race to lose Gandalf and get to Gandalf the White, so you're much more likely to have Gandalf still in the Fellowship for a few extra turns, so it's more likely to show up and be more useful. I left Gwahir and House of the Stewards. Just the fact that they're Daring Defiance and Brave Stand, and also Sudden Strike, all 3 of those are much more useful in the Lord's expansion, because with, Galadriel, Elrond, or Companion like Boromir or Gimli started out there, all these combat card effects that rely on a Companion are so much more likely to be useful. Also, the fact that Blade of Westerness is here, again, is also huge. So if you do have a Hobbit out there, more likely to be able to kill a minion with him. Then there's Safe Paths in the Dark. So heal 1 Corruption Port, discard We Shall Get It, or We Won't Go Back without effect if either of them is in play. So I guess we'll come back to this one later after those cards have been discussed. Anyway, and then Win from the West. Also game-changing card for sure. I missed 3 rings. We'll come back to it. Discard any 1 Shadow Event card on the table. If no Shadow Event card is on the table, you may look at the event cards in the hand of 1 Shadow player and discard 1 card. Interesting, the 1 Shadow player. I hadn't appreciated that for the 3 or 4 player version. Anyway, so yeah, just 1 Restoran Toils out there, just buy. Palantir of Vorthanc, buy. Or if none of them is up, then you get to look at their entire hand, so they have to, put all the cards down, and that feels so bad as a Shadow player when you have to do that. And you have to put them all down on the board, and then the free peoples can, take a picture, memorize them, write them down, and then choose 1 to discard, and then, they know what's in your hand, and you might have just lost a very powerful card. So yeah, very strong card for sure. Then 3 rings for the Elven Kings. Roll 3 dice and take back 1 used Elven ring counter for each result of 5+. Take the counters of your choice first from those out of play, then if there are not enough, from those in possession of the Shadow player. So this could be crazy strong for if you have it in hand and you still have all of your rings, you could get to use Elrond's ability twice, So you could, assuming Elrond was in play anyway, then you can, move the Fellowship, take it back, play 3 rings, get that ring back, and then move the Fellowship again, and you still haven't spent any dice, and the hunt pool hasn't been added to at all, but you've moved the Fellowship twice, yeah. Anyway, of course you could use it to get Galadriel's die back for blocking that eye result. So if you did happen to use Gandalf's die first for, a turn where there's only 1 eye in the box and you don't have any movement and you feel you really ought to move at least once, as the Shadow player, you're very tempted to get this one to use it quick, even if you don't need to, just to put it in your Shadow casualties, So there it is. So now if they play 3 rings for the Elven Kings, you have to take this one first. You can't take, Elrond's or Galadriel's and make use of their ability over again. If Gandalf's ring, which is usually used the least, they have to take that one back first. So that's an interesting little mini game that's introduced by the 3 rings card. So on the Shadow side, we have Madness and Horror. Play if Sauron is at war, choose a free people's army in a region adjacent to or in the same region as a Sauron stronghold. Roll 3 dice and score 1 hit against that army for each result of 5+. Then, if that Free People's Army is under siege inside the Sauron stronghold, recruit 2 Sauron regular units in the same region. Otherwise, recruit them in adjacent regions. So that can be handy if the elves have come out. Sometimes they'll be here to block these 2 armies from joining. Madness and Horror would be playable there. Or if these cheeky guys have ran out here, then you could play Madness and Horror against them. So like the Spawning 2 Orcs is nice. The hit against their armies is nice. It's also a Swarm of Bats as a combat card, so that's also really useful. That there's 3 Swarm of Bats in the deck now. Shadow of Dol Guldur. Play if a Nazgul is in Dol Guldur. Recruit a number of Sauron regular units in Dol Guldur equal to the Nazgul leadership in that region up to a maximum of 5 and respecting the stacking limit. You may then move or attack with that army. So that's also a really useful card. And the combat card is Mumakil. So yeah, very strong card. Black Captain Commands. I left this one in here, and maybe I should have left Gron too, just because I think the value is lessened, actually, in Lords of Middle-earth. Because if you have the Chief out to move or attack with an army containing the Witch King, you have to, move the Chief off of the Fellowship and then use him to attack somewhere else. And then if you want to have him on the Fellowship, you have to put him back again later. So if you draw this one early, it might be a while before you could use it at its optimum value the way you would in the base game. Gron, similarly, you have that dilemma of where do I want the Witch King? I don't know. So then there's We Won't Go Back. And play on the table if Smeagol is the guide. You may discard a character event from your hand or discard We Won't Go Back to add 2 corruption points when a Smeagol tile is drawn during a hunt. So you have to have already drawn 1 hunt tile for Smeagol to be the guide, right? Where's Smeagol? There he is. Okay, so we say Smeagol's the guide. Now the Shadow player can put down We Won't Go Back. So if it's a small pool with a lot of Smeagol tiles in it, this could be devastating anyway. But now every time a Smeagol tile shows up, they don't have an option to take a casualty. They don't have an option to use Horn of Gondor or anything. You can just chuck a Shadow character card from your hand or from the table. Oh no, from your hand or discard We Won't Go Back to add 2 corruption points. Okay, so not from the table. But yeah, you can... Yeah, just straight up 2 corruption. So especially if, the Fellowship is at like a high corruption value, but has a lot of companions, this makes Smeagol a bit of a nightmare. I haven't run into this used powerfully a lot, but it certainly has potential. Anyway, also the combat card is pretty strong. There's a couple of these that have been introduced. Fear of Their Masters. Play if a Shadow minion is in the battle. Forfeit your entire leadership to add 2 to all dice on your combat roll. Each unmodified roll of 6 on the Free People's combat roll or leader reroll inflicts 1 additional hit on the Shadow army. So this can be a strong accelerator. It's also very risky because, yeah, if they roll a few 6s, they can do a shocking amount of damage to you. Anyway, where are we? That was No, that was We Won't Go Back. Oh, right, I put it on the table. That's why I don't see it up here. Then there's Captain of Despair, also an absolutely game-changing card. Play on the table if the Witch King is in play and Gollum is not the guide of the Fellowship. Starting with the next action, every character action die result that you use is added to the hunt box as an eye die after the action is completed. You must discard for this card from the table immediately if the Fellowship is declared in an unconquered Free People stronghold or if Gollum becomes the guide of the Fellowship. So... Anyway, so the Fellowship has been revealed, let's say. They're here, and you've put the Chief of the Ringwraiths on him. It could also be out with the Black Captain, though. So now every time you spend a character die, it goes in the hunt box. So now if they move again, if they moved this turn, it would be 3 dice hitting at a 6 with 1 reroll because the Chief is sitting on them. So Captain of Despair could be really powerful for that. And it's difficult to get rid of. So like that in combination with the free reroll of the Witch King, like if you pick this early and they get revealed, corruption can be a very difficult, it could be a very genuine problem for the Free Peoples. Okay, gates are closed. Basically, while it's on the table, it's a lot of words, and you're probably sick of listening to me read cards out loud, unless all of these are new to you, in which case it might be great. I don't know. While it's on the table, if the Fellowship... moves into, out of, or through, or remains stationary. I'm reading it now because I realized I don't know exactly how to define it, even though I know how it works. While being declared or revealed, you may discard the gates are closed to draw an additional hunt tile. If the tile shows an eye, discard it without effect. Otherwise, follow the rules for a successful hunt. Ignore any reveal icon on the tile. Free peoples can get rid of it with a Will of the West action result or character die if Gandalf or Gollum is the guide. So basically, if you're declaring or revealed in or through or a stronghold, they get an extra tile. So that can be another useful block for Wind of the West. Wind from the West, leaving some card events on the table is useful for the Shadow player to just, make it so that if they play that, they can't get to see everything in your hand, right? So some cards, like, you'd be sad to see go, like Captain of Despair or Palantir, but a card like Gates Are Closed is you're a little more okay with it going away. Right, I also really got to, before I forget, if Smeagol dies, this card shows up. We shall get it. So it's basically Mithril Coat and Sting, but in reverse, and only usable if Gollum is the guide. So if Gollum is the guide, after a tile has been drawn, you may discard it to put that tile aside, draw a second tile, and then return the first tile to the pool. So the Free Peoples, of course, can get rid of this with Safe Paths in the Dark or Wind from the West. So it's not often you actually get to use it just because there's two cards out there. And the Free Peoples will often hang on to this card just to get rid of We Shall Get It. So anyway, it could be a cool card for sure. Okay, and Balrog has come... it's very different now because the Balrog just gets mustered in, right? So now it either lets you activate the Balrog, which it will normally do with its own die, but you could do it with this card too. If it's already active, you may move or attack with an army, including the Balrog, or move the Balrog by himself. Or you can still use the bottom half for the combat effect. The combat effect is still the same. Within 2 regions of Moria, and interestingly, or in a battle with the Balrog. So if the Balrog runs all the way to Dol Amroth, you could play Durin's Bane against Dol Amroth, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, I dare say that card got a buff. And then Lore of the Elven Rings is also a play on the table. Durin's Bane isn't actually. Goodbye. So every time a free keeper die rolls an eye, you get to change one of your dice to a different result. So, Gandalf, where are you at? There you are. Okay, it rolled an eye for us right away. So it goes in the box. So if this was the start of the turn, I would then get to pick any of my dice, and then I get to change it to whatever I want. So I can change it to another hybrid die. So anyway, that is all the special cards as far as I noticed anyway. Like, I drew them all and discarded all the normal ones. Maybe I missed something though. So anyway, that is the Lords of Middle-earth expansion. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it. I know we'll have another tournament for it later this year, but that doesn't start for a few months anyway. Thanks. See you next time. Bye.